listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
So, like, one of my favorite things, and I know that we've talked about, like, our various sort of, like, looking for the perfect lipstick or, like, finding an eyeshadow palette or whatever. But honestly, like, one of my favorite things is makeup shopping. And I do, even though I find it a very overwhelming experience and I can only go in for, like, 15 to 20 minutes, I love going to Sephora.
Oh, I just went there today.
Yeah, me too. And I also went there last Friday. And ostensibly, I was supposed to be getting things for, like, other people. But like, but there were a few things I needed, and
it's that time of year too where they have like all these little stocking stuffers, and you're like, it's small, it's only $10.
But they gave me a gift when I bought too. Did you get a gift, a makeup bag full of samples?
Yeah. Well, I ended up getting it because so they were having a fragrance sale, and at the time, like, my mom was like, the first day my mom was shopping with me, and she was like trying to figure out at the time what to get me for Christmas. And I was like, oh, I have to actually pick up a fragrance that I've run out of. And I've gone through 2 of these roller balls this year because even though I don't really leave the house much, my treats to me have been like smelling nice every day. And so there's this like Gucci fragrance that I really like, and they had a fragrance sale, and they had a fragrance box set of the Gucci fragrance that I like, and they had the last one. So I ended up like spending more than I went in planning to.
No,
but my mom was
really?
like, okay, I'll give you some money towards it. It can be like part your Christmas present from me. And I was like, okay, thanks, Mom. And it was very nice. And I just like, I felt so lovely. And then I was able to, because I had bought this gift set, they gave me the free bag with all the Gucci makeup in it. And
wow.
I love it.
Look at you.
I know.
Christmas came early.
It did. And I like, but you know what? Have I allowed myself like, I mean, obviously, like, we're recording this episode a bit early. But did I allow myself to open it at Christmas? Or like, I waited. I'm not allowed to use it right now. I'm like really disciplined with myself, and I'm like, I can't use this till Christmas. And yeah.
Are you gonna wrap it and put it under the tree?
I am not, but it came in a beautiful little box in its own green Gucci bag. And this is so embarrassing, but I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say here, like, happy first episode of 2023.
Oh, yes, of course. Happy New Year.
Everybody.
Happy first episode of 2023.
2023.
Yes.
Gee.
I know.
I'm still adjusting to that. I wrote 2022 on January 2022 on a bunch of things today. And I was like,
2022 was nice. It had a nice ring to it. 2022.
Yeah.
It was easy to say.
It bungles up the tongue a little bit,
2023.
doesn't it? Yeah.
Except for my mom always used to say things like 2023 is for me. I mean, it was probably like more another rhyme. But anyway, I think we should all adopt.
Like 1983 is for me or something?
Yeah. I think we should all adopt.
At bingo.
2023 is for me.
At bingo, there's always like B11, legs 11. It's B4, not after, B4. I like stupid little numerical.
So now you've got one for the year.
Yes. 2023, it's for me.
Yeah, if you go to Sephora and someone says, didn't you just go last week? You go, 2023, it's for me. It can become your catch-all for everything that you're doing.
This is how we end up in like the new age of decadence or whatever that was from like the Gilded Era.
Just
100 years later, 2023, it's for me.
The civilization crumbled, but the gals sure looked great.
And smelled good too.
And smelled good, yeah. That's important. You know, there's always... I bought a tinted moisturizer from Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah, nice.
And of course, another lipstick, but this time I didn't put it on it's a little bit on. It's a little bit redder. I went a little bit more dramatic. In fact, I went bold.
Bold?
That's what it's called. Bold.
Oh, wow.
I decided not to take just a tint, although the face moisturizer is a tint. But I don't know. There's something really exciting. It makes you feel like you really do care about yourself when you spend that much money on something that could at the drugstore be $15.
God, I remember spending $5 on lipsticks when I was like a teenager and thinking, wow, this is like pretty sophisticated.
Yeah. I've got a lipstick now.
Yeah.
I've managed to completely stay out of Sephora.
Wow.
Where do you go?
This whole holidays. I haven't bought makeup. I've ordered maybe like a couple things from them over the past year, but I haven't been going to the mall, and I don't know, like I just don't feel like going to the mall anymore.
Oh, I hate the mall, but there's I've been lucky that there are a few Sephoras that are just outside.
It's one on Robson, you mean?
I actually went, weirdly enough, I went to Burnaby, like the one like at the new Brentwood Mall, like as they're doing a bunch of construction and stuff.
Yeah.
But they've got like sort of an outside portion now.
I've been to that one.
Yeah, and that Sephora has an outside portion, so it's
I like that Sephora.
But I just find that I've been like, since I've been working from home, my makeup usage has gone dramatically down because most days I don't even bother.
Yeah, I don't think I bought any during the pandemic at all.
Yeah, like I just haven't been using up makeup, and I'm sitting on like a pile of makeup that I have to just keep working through. So I haven't been motivated to shop, really.
Like, I have definitely been using makeup long past when you're supposed to use makeup. Like, I mean, I think, like, to be clear, the pandemic is still happening. And so I have bought makeup during the pandemic, but I haven't bought it with the same, like, frequency or regularity. And I also started focusing on different things, like, because so I haven't bought a lipstick in a long time, but I had some old lipsticks or like some other lipsticks that I've been gifted throughout the pandemic. But I did start focusing on, I started using eyeliner. I have it today, but like I never used eyeliner before the pandemic. And I decided that was going to be my thing. In the pandemic, I would use eyeliner.
A liquid eyeliner or a pencil?
Liquid. I can't, my eyelids are too watery and oily for a pencil. Like it just, nothing will stay. So for myself, I have so far found that the only one that really stays and that I really, really love is, and like AG, you had given me like a Korean brand eyeliner that you really like. It doesn't really stay on my eyes, but I liked trying it just to see. There's one style of
sorry
NYX.
About that.
No, not at all. I love to try it. My God. And I like recommendations from my friends because, like, you know, that's really helpful. Sanara had recommended the liquid vinyl one from NYX. And that's okay. Like I will use it, and I have used it a lot, and it doesn't budge that much. But I actually liked this other one by NYX called, like, I think it was like a disco felt tip or something like that. But it's almost always sold out, and so I've only ever had one, and I used that a lot. It was great.
NYX.
I think you've mentioned it before, and that was the first time I put it together, that's the brand that's spelled NYX.
Yes.
Like I never put that together before.
But NYX is a drugstore brand, isn't it?
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh.
I like it a lot, though.
You can get it at any drugstore.
Yeah. And did you watch a tutorial, or did you always already know how to wear eyeliner? I'm not very good at doing that.
So again, friend of our podcast and dear friend Sanara Geisler, the Christmas that I decided to get into eyeliner, that's the same Christmas that AG gave me like those cool eyeliners. Sanara gave me her favorite eyeliner, and she made me a private video that she posted to YouTube that she just gave me the link to, where she showed me how to properly create a winged eyeliner look.
Wow, that is a present.
Isn't that, like, it was so nice. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was, and she did a great job.
Wow.
So
I've had to adapt it to my own. Sorry, I've had to adapt it to my own way because, like, my eyesight is so bad that I put it on with each. So I use a tiny mirror and I apply the eyeliner with my right hand for my right eye and my left hand for my left eye.
Oh my gosh.
Holding a tiny mirror. So I've had to like take her application advice and then sort of adapt it for me, because like that's just, adaptability is key. Because I was
waiting for you to say that you had gotten Carlos to watch the video and he does your eyeliner for you.
I don't think we're not there yet. Like this was the year where we did, like I did get him to start like using a moisturizer. So I think it'll be a while before he's ready to put on my makeup. Like it's going to be like a graduated process,
And through this podcast, we have learned that Carlos has done other things for you. So
he's done. Oh my God. Like I've put that man to work, like for sure.
Yes,
he has more than earned like 1,000 reasons to divorce me, but he's really good. But I mean, I got him to use moisturizer and a beard oil. So I'm like giving back too.
I would never suggest you weren't.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know why you would think we might think that.
No, never.
I mean, it's my paranoia, maybe in relation to this film, that that like he's some sort of like selfless dude who's just railroaded by a demanding, moisturizer obsessed woman clinging to her youth. Did I take this too personally? Maybe. Did it tell me things about myself? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow, I didn't think we were going to go in this direction.
No, I didn't. Right off the bat,
I mean, only a tiny bit. Otherwise, snooze fest? Maybe. Anyway, I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And, if that's not a segue to what we're going to talk about, and what a way to kick off 2023, it's all about me, this movie.
Yeah, this is
I would like to state, though, that the makeup conversation was such a natural segue to this movie, but it was almost too there for everybody. And I was waiting for you, A-Dubs, to say something, but then it was like, nope, too easy. She's not going to do it.
But that would be much more
not going to talk about makeup and glamour.
Aging products. We were more talking about enhancements.
Enhancements.
Fine line.
Yeah.
And
like
fine lines, frankly.
Eye.
I've really been noticing about my fine lines, guys.
Yeah.
And I am steering, I'm 3 weeks away from 44. So again, is this movie specifically targeting me? Yes.
But so I would like to start off also by just asking how it came up on your radar, what made you think of this movie?
Well, every year, so we're doing Death Becomes Her. And we're doing it in 2023 because by the time I suggested it for programming for last year, we just kind of kept we pushed it a little bit. And I thought, because it was its 30th anniversary in 2022, and I had because we've been doing the podcast for so long, we've come up on this on a special anniversary at least once before. And we didn't end up programming it 5 years ago or in 2017 when it would have been its 25th anniversary. And so when I was suggesting some programming for last year, I was like, well, it's its 30th anniversary. I remember watching it as a teenager and thinking it was funny. And I've read a couple little things that it's become a cult classic, a cult favorite. It's probably good for us to do. Plus, Death Becomes Her. It's obviously talking in some way about beauty standards for women and blah, blah, blah. There'll be lots of stuff for us to talk about. And And now instead we're doing it on our first year of 2023. It's all about me. And
which works for this movie entirely.
It really works for this movie. It was a thematic tie-in that I had not anticipated at the time.
For its 31st anniversary.
Its 31st anniversary. Again, very classic Pop This programming, celebrating an odd anniversary when we have to. And I also discovered today that like because I hadn't clocked this, but Liesl in Death Becomes Her, like her costume was the costume for two really cool iconic people this past Halloween. One, a friend of the podcast, Dina Del Bucchia. The other, not a friend of the podcast, but it'd be great if she was, Rita Ora. They both went as Liesl for Halloween, according to our friend Sanara.
Wow.
And I realized, looking at Liesl's outfit in Death Becomes Her, that like thin women who in this film, all thin, like not all, but a lot of like, in order to be like beautiful, you must also be thin in this film. You're allowed to wear like a large jeweled piece as a necklace over your bare breasts. The large jeweled piece, if you're a fat woman, that actually is a standard, especially in the 90s, standard accoutrement for sweaters. Like I, as a fat woman who's been fat my entire life, I have looked at a sweater with that jeweled piece so many times. If you were a fat girl in the 90s, they tried to put a ton of decorative jewels on your sweater to give you a fun top. And it is... So yeah, anyway, I laughed so hard when I saw this thin, beautiful woman gets to just wear jewels as a top and nothing else. And thinking about what this movie has to say about... Anyway, I was not prepared for this journey. I had not remembered this movie correctly. But it was a time watching it.
Oh, I had never seen this movie before. I didn't know really anything about it. And yeah, it was a journey. I will say that. Because, at first it's kind of like, let's settle in for this kind of like very harsh 80s type comedy, but then it kind of turns campy and it's like, and then you're looking at the special effects and I'm reading that it won an Oscar and it was like groundbreaking special effects for its time. And then, yeah, like it was just kind of going all over the place for me and I didn't know what to expect. And, yeah, I kind of sort of have a more of an understanding now on like how it's become a cult classic.
I'm glad you do. Because I still have some questions, but but truly, I think that's good. I think it's good. Like that's a good space for like all of us to be entering it. Lisa, what about you? Like, what was your background with this film? Did you have any?
No, I don't think I saw it. I think I'd seen bits and pieces of it, but I'd certainly never really sat down just to watch the whole thing. And it felt long. Was it long?
No, it was only an hour 40.
Oh, really? I felt longer. Yeah. There were some scenes that were excruciatingly long, painful scenes that did not need to be that long. We did not need that opening scene of her bad Broadway performance, which seemed to go on and on and on. And the irony is, of course, you're seeing everyone leave the theater because it's so bad, and you're like, "Am I supposed to just sit here?"
But did you walk out of your living room?
I threw my playbill down in the rain and I just kept walking.
Incredible.
Okay.
I thought, oh my God, are they going to think I set them up for a secret musical?
Oh.
Wouldn't put it past you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I know. And then it takes this like turn into like fantasy and sci-fi or I don't know, something, witches, maybe, potions, I'm not sure. I was not, and I mean, and I understand that things have changed since 1992. So I get that as a child, like, you know, I was 12 or 13 when this movie came out. So I can see, like, if I watched it then, which I mean, I don't even know exactly when I watched it. I know I've seen portions of it before. I can see being like, oh my God, that's so crazy that like she falls down the stairs and she's all in all these bendy pieces and her neck is turned around. So funny. Oh, she has a shotgun blast through her stomach and they can talk through it. So funny. Like I can see myself being like, this is humorous. And there were moments that I genuinely did laugh in the final third. Like I kind of almost enjoyed the final third of the film. But like, it's a heavy lift for me, and I don't, I mean that pun intended and not intended, when within the first 15 minutes, it's Goldie Hawn in this ridiculous fat suit. She's depicted as a broken woman, hand eating tins of icing, and
yeah,
like,
it was so unnecessary.
And
with all the cats everywhere, and she's just supposed to be like, the communication like really is like she's disgusting. Can you imagine anyone fatter than this? And like, and especially with like the dialogue that's happening right now with The Whale, which is a film I will never see because I just refuse to participate in films that ask us to just stare at someone that they have decided is like just sick with their own fatness. I just like, that was just like, I was like, wow, what did I really played myself here. What have I done? And I mean, we've come like a long way and stuff. And I understand ultimately this is a movie that kind of is interrogating and like wants to confront these like beauty standards, but at the same time does it like at no point does anyone talk about like Bruce Willis's character and how his job is he's a plastic surgeon who like is transforming patients, and then he becomes an undertaker who like also transforms patients to look more like typically beautiful, and he has no culpability in any of this at all. And he also like has left his more like average looking, quote unquote, average looking Goldie Hawn fiance for like a more quote unquote stunning Meryl Streep. Anyway, I don't know. I just was like, this thinks it's saying something, but I don't know if it is.
Okay, well, we haven't done the background or the
synopsis. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I just
might be helpful because we're not going to recommend this movie. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I will, but maybe by the time we're done this, I'll have talked myself into it. Who knows?
Won't be from me, so.
All right. I'll read the background. Death Becomes Her is a 1992 American satirical black comedy fantasy film directed and produced by Robert Zemeckis. Written by David Kopp and Martin Donovan, it stars Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn as rivals who fight for the affections of the same man, Bruce Willis, and drink a magic potion that promises eternal youth but causes unpleasant side effects. Yeah, unpleasant is a word. Released on July 31st, 1992 to mixed reviews from critics, Death Becomes Her was a commercial success, grossing $149 million worldwide on a $55 million budget. $55 million in 1992? That's a wild amount of money.
And probably all of that went to Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis, and Goldie Hawn.
I mean, I do like that they're all equally billed, but like still, that was, whew. Anyway, the film was a pioneer in the use of computer-generated effects. It went on to win the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects.
Well, and a lot had been made at the time of Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, and Bruce Willis, like all playing against type.
Yeah.
For what they were known for at the time. You know, especially Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn playing like quote unquote like unlikable female characters.
Yeah,
I don't know. And Bruce Willis playing like not a sort of, he's coming off the Die Hard movies.
Oh, it's a big turn for Bruce Willis for sure. And I like that he really committed to like a very specific walk for Ernest. He did, some character work there with his like physicality. I'll give him that. Lisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Two female rivals drink a magic potion from a beautiful enchantress. This feels like this doesn't feel like the synopsis of this movie.
It's a letter to Penthouse. What are you talking about? It's fine.
Yeah. So this is like halfway through the movie, two female rivals drink a magic potion from a beautiful enchantress that promises eternal youth. However, after they kill each other in their battle for the man they love, the potion revives them as the undead, and they are forced to maintain their deteriorating bodies forever.
Yeah, I was like unable to find a succinct plot synopsis because it was so convoluted that it took like every writer on earth, like 12 paragraphs to describe what happens in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it is a convoluted plot. I think it loses the plot a few times. Did any of you, like, did either of you laugh?
I don't think I laughed. I did find it confusing and hard to follow in many places, which I wasn't expecting. Not at all.
I found the house, funny, I found sometimes the one mansion looked like the other mansions. I thought the sets were really weird. They were very cheap looking, especially that where she went to get the plastic surgery or went to get her treatments done. It looked like a peculiar soundstage with like 80s designs. It was very odd.
It probably was.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah. Nothing looked nice in this movie at all. Nothing. Except for maybe like when Isabella turned around and she looked so beautiful. That's about it.
But like this movie is supposed to span like quite a long time.
Like 30 years.
Yeah, and it kind of like the look of the movie doesn't change at all. Like
it's just none of the scrunchies. The only thing I really noticed was the scrunchie.
There was a lot of scrunchy work, you guys. Yeah, so many really scrunchies.
Yeah,
and it looks so like harshly 80s too.
Yeah,
like I know it's set partially in the 80s, but there's something about movies made in the 80s, no matter what era they're supposed to be set in. It's the 80s.
Yeah.
But like this movie came out in 92. Like they had a couple years to get it a little bit less 80s. And they didn't. They stuck it in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Zemeckis was so intrigued by like trying to like twist her neck around so she can scream, my ass, my ass. Like that, honestly.
But I mean, I almost think this is the most 80s movie ever.
Yeah.
And last year we watched Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Yeah.
So that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Can you believe, like, think about this. This movie came out a year before Jurassic Park. Like, think of the special effects in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and that feels rather timeless. I watched Jurassic Park not that long ago, and nothing about it feels dated at all. Maybe Jeff Goldblum's outfit, but that's about it.
Sure, but, like, I mean, the special effects are great. Like, everything about it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
This is kind of like
wild. And yet this movie has an Academy Award.
I know.
People.
I guess like the hole in the stomach was kind of fun. I don't know, like I found it uncomfortable, and I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Like just remembering the way in which like domestic violence would end up being comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those moments.
Like he was about to murder her on the stairs.
When he is like,
well, he did. He pushed her down the stairs.
And it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I felt really uncomfortable, and I was like, "This is not funny at all." And I think that's. I mean, I'm sure lots of people didn't find it funny in 1992 either. But like for me personally, like that wouldn't have fazed me maybe in 92. Because like it's supposed to be funny, but like, and it's supposed to be like ridiculous, but all we're seeing is that like, so she says some mean things to him, and that's supposed to be justification for his rage to murder her. Mm-hmm. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I had a hard time trying to figure out what the appeal of Ernest was at all.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
To either of these women.
Well, I think that maybe that's part of the point. On some level, like, even though he does ultimately get to sort of like win, like that's the thing. Like, I think it is supposed to be that he's just like he's such a basic, but like the movie wants to really be like, well, he's basic, but he understands like he now understands that like you need to have like happiness in your heart in order to like have a fulfilling life or whatever. And like he's supposed to be kind of a hero in this way. And these two women at like the end when we're at his funeral and he's living on eternally through his children, through his memories that he made with people, through his connections to all these folks, like blah, 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 blah. I understand the message of that. Like that's nice, but it still feels like it's as if it's kind of an indictment of these two women who never had children, who had to like get caught up in sort of like all of the like cruelty of the patriarchy, who like ended up like sort of with this internalized misogyny and trying to live to these like impossible beauty standards that Ernest himself helped hold up and was complicit in placing. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was watching it, I was thinking like when Meryl Streep's character steals, quote unquote, like steals away Goldie Hawn's husband.
Yeah.
I was like, when they flash forward, I was like, maybe this is a story about how Goldie Hawn discovers she like dodged a bullet or something.
Yes.
It doesn't. Yeah, because he's become an undertaker. I didn't understand that trajectory, like exactly what happened.
I didn't understand why he was laying on the floor drinking Bloody Marys. Like, I didn't get that either.
Yeah, like what?
I think it's supposed to be just comedy because they've like ruined each other. And like now he's an incapacitated alcoholic and he can't operate on live people anymore because he like has drank himself to having a shake, a tremor.
Oh, okay. I missed that part.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, you didn't miss it. They didn't do a very good job of like sort of really inferring it.
Yeah,
it was inferred and not explicit. I'm sorry.
I think a large part of the movie, the problem for me is it was really too dark and not funny. So it just ended up being a miserable movie then. Without laughing at a black comedy, then it just is a painful experience.
Yeah. But somehow this movie has gone on to like capture like a younger generation of drag queens, like inspired them. Like it's that people have done characters from this movie on like Drag Race and stuff. Like it's got like, and there's,
I guess I would like to sit down
Halloween
with them and have
cosplayers.
them tell me what I'm missing. I guess there's something funny about that kind of obsession with wanting to stay young that you'll do anything. But like, we have seen that done, I think, critiqued better before other places.
I think it can be like critiqued better and before in other places, but I can kind of understand like, especially like looking for the sort of like semi-tragic but glamorous thing, and seeing that depicted in film and having this sort of like spiky diva, quote unquote bitch personalities for like Goldie and Meryl, and they're just like these two outsized personalities, and both are supposed to be like devoted devastatingly and completely in service to like upholding beauty standards. I can see how it becomes like campy in a way, but I think it doesn't push the campiness enough, like it's I can understand like how it has developed, sort of like that cult obsessed thing that Nathania Gilson is talking about in The Guardian. Nathania writes, even though it was critically panned as pitiful and grotesque, it went on, however, to capture the imagination of a younger generation of drag queens and cult obsessed cosplayers, as well as develop a growing queer fandom. And I think I can understand it, but like it's not something that like watching it from the vantage point of from my point right now as a 43-year-old woman about to turn 44, I want, and not having grown up with it in the same way, like I want
Which
it to
is
have
about the same age as Meryl and
I'm exactly the same age as
are.
Meryl and Goldie are in this. And like, I want it to have a more pointed point of view that's also more explicitly feminist. Because I think that this movie really doesn't feel very feminist at all. And I think that the people who made it, in terms of like behind the scenes, the director and the writer and stuff, they have no interest in exploring feminist themes. They wanted to explore what was it, the alien landscape of Beverly Hills without really thinking about like what they're participating in. And if none of the creative team behind the scenes want to explore their own complicity, then they can't write a script that's very meaningful. You know what I mean?
I can honestly tell you that I didn't even think or know it was Beverly Hills. It could have been anywhere this movie was made. It didn't matter. Like, this was not, nothing was explicitly shown or said.
Well,
was it? Did they?
I mean, I think it was supposed to be like old, like it was like a Hollywood setting because.
But at the beginning, she's on Broadway. That's in New York, right?
The beginning, they're in New York, and then they moved to LA, and it's supposed to be like, and they're gonna like kill her on Mulholland Drive. And
that's right.
I think
yes.
Like it's supposed to have more of a root in Beverly Hills and be like, but again, they don't. The creative team behind the scenes doesn't like explicitly lay it out enough. Like I think that they needed a few other people behind in the creative team to like really like make this movie understand what it's actually sort of trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So just back to like it being an inspiration for a lot of, for like the drag community. I was reading in this Vanity Fair article about it that Jarek Hoffer, whose drag persona is Jinx Monsoon in Drag Race appeared in Drag Race season 5. But, they're saying that like, I think this is a quote. I think this is a trait that runs through the queer community, the obsession with the hyper feminine female villains. And we see it in Disney movies and in movies like Death Become Her and in characters like Poison Ivy and Catwoman. Almost all the Disney villain witches are gay icons.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean, I gotta say, like, I think that the ones that the people that are mentioned, they're like even like a Disney villain, like they have just so much more going on than these two villains. Like, and I don't even think they're necessarily villains, but like I would watch the buddy comedy of the two of them trying to like be both mean and uplifting of each other and literally putting their bodies back together. Like, as soon as they joined forces kind of at the end, I was like, you know what, this is more pleasant. But then they have to just go and like try and make sure that Ernest doesn't leave them so that he can continue to sort of like upkeep their bodies. Like, these two women can figure it out. They can hire people to do this. They can why do they need this man?
You know what it makes me think of? It's like this current conversation that's going on right now about Lana Del Rey. I don't know if you heard that she has a new album coming out and she put one billboard up, and it's where her ex lives. And so I'm reading different hot takes on this, of course, which are, we all should aspire to be Lana Del Rey. And I'm really... no, not for me. And then I'm thinking about when I was reading about that, I was thinking about this movie at the same time, and this sort of angry, tragic character. And I guess I'm not I don't feel so angry and tragic, maybe.
I mean, it's a vibe for sure that like maybe we go through at different stages in our lives. Like when I was younger, maybe. Yeah. I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's also like, I wonder if we have a different perspective now, like watching it in 2022 than we would have if we watched it at the time on plastic surgery or like, all the things that people do to their bodies to try and maintain their youth. Because now it's far more commonplace and normalized for people to do things. And I think back then it was seen more as like, you're going to kind of extreme lengths if you're doing these things.
But here's the thing.
To try and stay young.
Yeah, to try and stay young. So they have to create a magic potion that's given out by this incredibly, exotic person living up in this mansion. But what ended up happening is women put live bacteria in their face called Botox. So the question's been answered. It's not.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's like, I think it's, I just feel like this is kind of like one of those things where like they were trying to be like, this is so terrible, but like, I don't know, man. This is so terrible is not useful when the culture that we're literally living in and built on is about making sure that we can commodify this is so terrible. Like,
yeah, exactly.
In a capitalist death cult obsessed with beauty and thinness, Death Becomes Her really doesn't end up saying anything because it doesn't actually like so Ernest goes and has this life, like his life is all about like him and his ego. He has 6 children. He's over 50. He has 6 children with what I can only imagine is a much younger woman. And he's, you know, all his stories and he's done so many good things. And he had, did you see that he opens a center for women? The men's center, whatever his last name is, Menmen or Menmel or whatever the hell his last name is. That's one of his legacy gifts, is a center for women. Like, I think that there is, I would not be surprised if some of the ideas in this movie, which I'm thrilled that there are like, I'm thrilled that it's so important to some queer folks and some drag queens and like lots of cool people have decided it's a cult favorite. But I would not be that surprised if some other deeply uncool, not okay men's rights groups held up Ernest as like their de facto king. Because this movie does not like women very much at all. And Ernest is the hero.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on all that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, not to be full feminist killjoy on this, but man alive. Like I again, 1992, slightly different time. 2022, I mean, but I'm still thinking about it. And I did laugh a few times, and there were a few moments where I was like, this wanted to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yep.
They hired a lot of really high-profile actors to do it. They put on a show with the special effects, and seemingly people enjoyed it at the time. It was a box office success.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it. I think there's like some pieces here like that really could stand the test of time. I just feel like they needed, like, oh my God, you know who they should have had if I could like retroactively fix this film, they should have had Carrie Fisher be a consultant and a script doctor on this film. And I think she could have done some excellent work and making this a more meaningful and funny film. Like, she had things to say.
Because it feels like it's sort of like just 30 degrees away from saying something. Like, it's almost there. It's almost there.
It's almost there is actually like the most complimentary thing I think that you can sort of because I also think like there is a few lines once in a while. You can't give him depth and character. People have to recognize him. Incredible line. Could you just not breathe? That was good. Yeah.
Oh
my God, it was so funny. Like, just because it's exactly when you do hate someone so much, you're just like, breathe different. Because like, can't handle. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I almost fired her. She's a woman, Ernest, from Newark, for God's sakes. Like, you know what? Never mind. I take it all back. I understand fully why it's a cult favorite. And
there's so many quotable. Well, I mean, there's a lot of quotable lines from it, right? That's a hallmark of a cult classic.
I know, but I just think like Serial Mom had so much more to say and was so much more interesting than like Death Becomes Her. And it had more insights about women because it didn't hate women. And I think I'm not going to say for sure that the writers hated women, but I would say that they're not their biggest fans.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, well, like I mean, it seems like there should have been lots to say about like the idea of, will our society ever change and be kinder towards, women aging, women in their 40s and older?
Oh, and the answer
it
for
hasn't
sure is
happened
no.
so far.
No. No would be the answer to that.
Yeah, I would agree with that completely. Like, but I mean, so here's some interesting, so I was thinking about like Martin Kopp and like what he has written, and like he wrote Jurassic Park. Like, he's responsible, like he co-wrote it with Michael Crichton, but he's responsible for giving us like Ellie and what a great feminist role model Ellie is. And like, he did that.
So Death Becomes Her is an original screenplay? It wasn't based on anything?
Looks like it's an original screenplay. Yeah. He also wrote Panic Room. I mean, he also wrote Angels and Demons. There's only so much you can do with that, but he's written a lot of stuff, and like not all of it is good, but some of it's not bad. That's a ringing endorsement, isn't it? Like, can you imagine? I put that on the poster. Martin Donovan. I'm just checking briefly like what he's done too, because like I know he co-wrote the script, so I want to see what I can blame him for. Oh, his most important Hollywood work was Death Becomes Her, so we can blame him for that. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to largely blame Martin Donovan for this.
Oh, fair.
I'll go with that too.
Yeah.
I just like, oh God, why?
I'm with you. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just like, I don't want to like I'm not going to fully read this, but like apparently, so this is the first thing I looked at was Meryl Streep saying, "My first, my last, my only. I think it's tedious." And I thought she was just talking about this film, but she was talking about like the special effects. Meryl Streep.
Well, she's not in a lot of horror movies or special effect movies.
She never worked with Robert Zemeckis again. I thought that was going to be her declaration, but no, it was just that. It was just that she didn't want to do special effects. Okay, fine, whatever. So, I don't think I can say that this pops, but I can understand. Yeah, it's 30 degrees away from a half pop.
Yeah, I'm just not there for a pop. I'm willing to be convinced otherwise by somebody who really loves this movie and has fully embraced its cult classicness. But until that such time, I shall say no pops.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to say not really a pop either. But I'm glad we watched it in a way, though, because there are so many cultural references to it out there that now I will understand. Sort of,
exactly.
Mostly.
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
So, I'm glad for that.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, what about something we do recommend? Let's kick off the year like with a real. Oh, I will say though, I do think people should maybe watch it.
Sure,
like,
you can watch it and then debate it with us. By letters or something.
Yeah, by letters. But yeah, if you are not enthused about seeing another person in a fat suit, then I understand skipping it if you want. But I think it's like sort of tied up in all kinds of different standards of beauty. It doesn't want to interrogate itself that much. It's just part of that. So like, it's not specifically targeting only fat people. Everyone gets targeted in this film.
Especially the scrunchie wearers.
I mean, I felt seen actually by the scrunchies. That's the part that did ring true. Plus, of course, just free-handing icing, as all fats want to do. Hey, fellow. No, I mean, icing is disgusting. Anyway, just yeah, the dehumanization. But anyway. Something that doesn't dehumanize us. Does anyone have something like that?
Yeah,
in their list of recommendations?
I will go. I watched an excellent documentary. I don't know if anyone has seen it come up on Netflix called Stutz. It is Jonah Hill's documentary about his therapist. So he initially wanted to, his name is Phil Stutz, and he originally wanted to do a documentary just about this man because he had helped him so much through his depression and anxiety and other issues. And they wanted to profile this person who he thought was quite interesting. And so at first it wasn't going to be about Jonah Hill's therapy. And then it was about Jonah Hill's therapy, which is actually quite interesting. So if you find yourself in either of those categories with some, mental health challenges, Stutz is a great documentary with a lot of really helpful tools, but it's also just a really great profile of two people who are, who have come to help each other. And I can't recommend it enough.
Cool. Thank you. That is a good way to start the new year.
Mm-hmm.
AG, what about you?
I'd like to recommend some music I know this came out technically in 2022, so it's not new, but I've been listening to a lot of Andrea Gain's album.
Yay!
When Flowers Bloom, R&B singer from Toronto. Just a lovely voice, and the music is just nice, and it's something good just to put on if you're looking for something to ease you into 2023. I think it's a good album.
Adria's great. That's very exciting. I am going to recommend a book that came out in 2022. It's one of my favorite books of the year. Danielle Smith, she wrote a book called Shine Bright, and it is it's so good. A very personal history of Black women in pop. And Danielle is spelled Danyel, and then Smith, just Smith. And she also does a really brilliant job narrating the book for an audiobook. So I've been listening to the audiobook, but also it's kind of one of those situations where you're listening and everything is so smart and the writing is so good and you're going to return to it again and again that you then need a physical copy so that you can mark that up and just sort of be able to reference it for the rest of your life. That's this kind of book, and it's brilliant. So I highly recommend that.
That sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us and starting your 2023 with us. That's so nice. Or whenever you watch it, maybe you're listening to this. Maybe you're going to listen to it in 2025. We don't know. Hello, future you. Thanks for hanging out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on
Maybe
Instagram.
by that time, all of us will like Death Becomes Her.
Well, we'll try it. Yeah.
Can you imagine if it just becomes our cult favorite? This podcast is only a Death Becomes Her podcast, and we decided to just do 1 minute at a time of this film, and that's what evolves. That's how we'll understand it completely. You can hang out with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You could rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes.
Always 5 stars. Thank you to Andrea Gin, our producer and co-host here. And thank you all so much for listening. And don't forget, 23 is for me. And I mean, it sounds better when you say it about yourself, actually.
2023, it's all for me.
Yay!
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.